I will talk about the challenges we face and what we are doing to address those challenges. The Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act was signed into law in 2010. Before then, all fabrication, engineering, and procurement were done abroad, which resulted in estimated capital flight of about $380 billion in 50 years. Estimated job loss opportunity was in the region of 2 million. The narrative then was that nothing could be done in country. Over time, we found to be detrimental to the economy and thus leading to government efforts to stem the tide. To give legal backing to the directives and provide an all-encompassing framework for the development of Nigerian Content Act was enacted in 2010. Under the Act, the board's mandate can be broadly classified into two. First is to develop capacity of local supply chain for effective and efficient service delivery to the oil and gas industry, without compromising standards. And secondly, to implement and enforce the provisions of the NOGIC Act 2010. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, since the inception of Ncdmb, we have been consistent in promoting the development and enforcement of the local content implementation in the oil and gas industry, leading to some key achievements, and I would like to mention just for a few. Before the Act, we had an annual spend of $20 billion with little or nothing retained in country. Today, I can confidently say that we spend $5 billion in country every year. Before 2010, we targeted the establishment of 4 pipe mills. Today, we have 2 world-class pipe mills and 5 very impressive pipe coating facilities in country.
In August 2017, in the PTDF Auditorium, Abuja, the signing ceremony of the $200 million Nigerian Content Intervention Fund took place, and this was done in partnership with Ncdmb's partner Bank of Industry.
Now on to the signing ceremony. I'd like to call on the Director Legal of the Ncdmb for this process. Please welcome Rose Chukwuonwe. So that it's a remarkable feat. All of our attention will now move to you who will get this fund. Not to the Ncdmb, because we know they will do their job in monitoring, in evaluating, and in ensuring that you put it to good use. But our eyes will also be on you who gets this money. We must be sure that you will not marry a second wife. You're not buy a Rolls Royce. You're not taking chieftaincy title. Ladies and gentlemen, now when the handshake comes out, you know the deal is done. Can we celebrate the achievement of the NCIF MOU signing today? Story. Better. Hold it. That's right. All right. Okay. We all remember that there was this.
This fund will be used to increase capacity of local players in the industry. It will generate employment. It will create linkages that will affect and lead to the growth in the industrial sector. As Bank of Industry, we're one of the leading DFIs in Nigeria. And one of the things that we are known for is that most of our loans are actually single digits. But this is single digits in dollars. It will have been a bit difficult if not for the fact that the funding is being provided by Ncdmb. There are many aspects of this facility that many of you are interested in. We're going to be having regular workshops to let people know how you can access the loan and what you need to do. Well, just in summary forms, it can be used to acquire assets for those who are in oil and gas. You have contracts that you have to execute for the majors. And there's a single obligor limit on that type of facility. It will not exceed $10 million. And the interest rate on it will not exceed 8% per annum. Also, they have taken into account, or we have taken into account, community contractors, people who are in the community, because this fund is trying to ensure that they also are brought along. And they've even made that one much easier. When I say they, it's because the money, we are working based on instructions of the partnership that we have with Ncdmb. For community contractors, they can access up to 20 million naira. And the interest rate on that will not exceed 5% per annum. Particularly the issue of contract approval cycles. I've been very firm from day one that there has no reason why this country should have a contract approval cycle is in excess of 6 months. Today, I think we've moved it from the typical 18 to 24 months back out to somewhere in the neighborhood of 13 to 14 months. It's still struggling. We must put speed to this. This costs money, and this has a direct linkage with my philosophy that we must reduce the cost of production. And talking about cost of production, a lot of debates in the media recently in terms of what is the cost of production. 32, which was figure quoted for me, and 23, which NNPC has quoted. The reality is that production in our offshore fields are in excess of $32 a barrel. There's no doubt about that. And our production onshore was ranging about 28. NNPC has done a good job of bringing it down to 23. But that is not where we're headed. Where we're headed is 15, and it's not 18. We must bring back down cost of production. We must be able to look our OPEC brothers in the face and be able to compete adequately. If you look at the rundown, we're probably second or third highest country with the highest production figures. The issue of militancy and all that can no longer explain that. We have had militancy for so long that by now we must have alternatives in the event of that. Oil companies must rise to the challenges of producing oil in this country. And we cannot produce oil in an environment where we are unable to, with certainty, say what the pricing is going to be and continue to run a high-cost model. It will not work. We must drive those numbers down. And so, for the benefit of clarity on this issue, the target is 15, the target is not 18, and we're going to all have to work collectively to try and do that. And I believe that NNPC and the oil majors will achieve that. Everybody's working around the clock on this. There's a lot of energy around it, and I believe that we're going to get there.
Coming on the heels of the signing ceremony of the Intervention Fund, the Executive Secretary took time out to shed more light on the workings of the fund, how it will be judiciously managed to achieve its purpose, among other things he talked about. He emphasized the role of the Bank of Industry in all the process.
Are contributors to the fund to begin to apply for it, and it will go through the normal credit screening of the bank, and such that this is not free money. It's money that has to revolve. So it's not money that is being given to anybody to trade with or anybody to acquire more properties, but it's money that is being given for genuine businesses in the country. So it's open to all Nigerians to start the process. We committed that from application to eventual disbursement, it's a 45-day window. If you don't qualify, Bank of Industry will write you. Ncdmb does not do the screening of prospective applicants. It is entirely the responsibility of Bank of Industry through their normal credit process. So we have put all kinds of processes and created processes that are very transparent to everybody. So there is no man associated with the process itself. It's a normal bank lending, and the bulk of the risk of lending is taken by Bank of Industry. So the onus is on them to ensure that there is a transparent and prudent process to deliver on this.
The Ncdmb boss, speaking at the Nigerian International Petroleum Summit 2018 maiden edition in Abuja, also gave credence to the initiative of NIPS 2018 and also considered it a great platform to promote the local content development initiatives.
Conferences like this, but it's Nigerian centric. But this is trying to expand it beyond Nigeria. We bring in other African countries because we have a lot to share together, particularly in terms of capacities that we have developed in Nigeria and also in other countries that we can harness for the benefit of the continent. So as you can imagine, you have ministers of other countries here present, and also the OPEC Secretary General himself, and also present here. That shows you that it's beyond the shores of Nigeria. It's an African thing. And like the minister said, this is the way we start in a bid to have an international oil and gas summit that we can also compare to the likes of ADIPEC, the likes of OTC, and other international conferences you have in the world. It's a start, but the goal is that we will get there. I think in 5 years' time, just like when we started NOG 19 years ago, it went very far, and then bolt on to the Local Content Act. It enabled Nigerians to exhibit their ingenuity in terms of manufacturing, in terms of service provision. So I believe that if we continue the tempo and we are inconsistent in our approach, in 5 years' time, we will see in Nigeria that 70% of the oil and gas activities are within the hands of Nigerians. And we also see us extending our services to sub-Saharan Africa as well as receiving services from them. I see this blossoming, and at some point maybe compete with ADIPEC and perhaps OTC at some point. Of course it will. OTC, like you know, it's an offshore technology conference where people go and look at new technologies in the offshore arena. It will still be relevant, especially in this day and age of artificial intelligence and robotics.
The Ncdmb boss thanked all and sundry who cooperated and collaborated with the federal government to push for local content development since it was signed into law. It's hoped that the value retention in-country plans will have a phenomenal growth up from the current 26% to 70% value retention by 2027.